We're going to talk 3 different modes today, processes. One being a basic setup for people who are more intermediate level, people who probably just want to walk up to their press, lower the lever, and run, setting a time and temperature. And it's a very simple procedure. Anyone can use it. For people who are not interested in knowing the digital setups, the presets, and the user modes, that's okay. You don't have to get involved in that. We can basically go over just a standard setup that anybody could use at home for doing sublimation. It's not anything that's over technical. And then the second part of the video, we're going to talk about a little more advanced level about presets. There's 70 presets with this unit, meaning that you can set up for different products, up to 70 products if you choose to use that many products. And then the third part of the video, we're going to get a little more advanced and we're going to talk about user modes. And user modes are presets within the menu here. We're going to go over all the features within this menu from this digital display. We're going to get a closer shot so that you can see it better. So let's get started with the basic setup. All right, now we're going to talk about basic setup. Basic setup is 3 things. It's going to be time, temperature, and pressure. In a basic setup, you won't use your program button. So just forget about the program button. You will use your temperature. You'll press temp 1 time to change the temperature. The 3 digits will start flashing. You use your up arrow or down arrow to adjust. We're going to go down to 350. If you hold the button for 2 seconds, it'll speed up. Press 1 time, it'll increment. That puts us at 350. We want to press temperature again to lock it there. Now let's adjust time. Time is adjusted only by using your arrow keys. So press up to increment up in time, press down to increment down in time. So down arrow, we're going to go to 30 seconds. Hold it for 2 seconds and it'll start speeding up. And that's it. Now we'll talk about pressure. This is the dial in which you'll adjust your pressure. This dial here will raise or lower the bottom. To open pressure or to lower pressure, you're going to turn the dial left and close the press. Okay, so light pressure is considered one hand being able to close the press. A medium pressure, you're going to turn the dial to the right to close the gap, meaning that you're going to have less space between your top platen and your bottom platen. And based on your item in here, which we don't have anything right now, but this is an example, you turn it a couple of times. What you want to hear when you lower the platen at medium pressure is a little more of a bite, and that's usually about 1½ hands. So that's 1½ hands. So to get a more heavy pressure, turn it a couple more times to close the gap. And you would use 2 hands. And that's basically considered a heavy pressure. So as a quick side note, a couple of safety tips I'd like to include. Make sure when you're not using your press that you've always got the clamp up, leaving the gap open, and the top platen swung away. Okay, now that I've shown you how to do the basic setup using time and temperature and your pressure, we're going to do a walkthrough on setting up 2 different presets, and that's using the programmable presets from the menu here. So let's get started. Okay, now we're going to talk about user-defined presets. We're going to use the program button. So you're going to press program. What's going to come up on the screen is set. Set basically means you have 70 presets. So 1 through 70. We're at preset 1. So we're going to do a little walkthrough on doing 2 presets so we make sure you know how to do it. And the first thing we want to do in the set is we're going to set the number of the preset, which is 01. We're going to use 01. And then we're going to press temperature to advance to the next screen. And this is asking me to set my temperature. We're going to go up to 400 degrees. I'll hold my button for 2 seconds. It's going to scroll faster. Now I'm going to press temperature again to go to the next setting. Now it's asking me to set my time. My time, we're going to go up to 45 seconds. So we're at 30 now. I'm going to hold my button for 2 seconds. And we're at 45. Press temperature again. It takes me to the pre-press. And the pre-press is a pre-press setting for 2 processes of sublimation. So a pre-press is sometimes required. So a pre-press here, we're going to leave this one at 0. And we're going to press temperature to go to the next setting. This is pressure. PRS stands for pressure. And this pressure is going to be left at 6. So if I wanted to change it, I would use my arrow keys. But we're going to leave it at 6. I'm going to press temperature to go to the next setting. And now we're back at the set. So we want to make this a preset for another preset. So we're going to choose the digit 2. So we're going to go up. This is preset number 2. So we're going to press temperature. That's going to give me the option to change my temperature, in which we're going to stay at 350. I'm going to press temperature again, and that takes me to my timer. And my timer's set at 30, and we're going to go to 12. So I'm going to arrow down to 12 seconds. And press temperature again. This is my pre-press time, and my pre-press time is going to be 3 seconds. And I'm going to press temperature again. My pressure is going to be set at 8. And I'm going to press temperature again. And so to get out of this, once we're done, once we've completed the preset, we're ready to go back to the main menu, to the normal operation mode, and that's going to be pressing the program key. It's going to flash to pressure, and then it's going to go back to regular operation mode. And that completes programming a preset for sublimation. Okay, now we're going to get into the more advanced level of setting up the user presets from the menu here. We're going to talk about Celsius and Fahrenheit. We're going to also talk about calibrating the pressure and also setting up alarms from the display. So let's get started on the more advanced level. Okay, we're in the user menu now. So the first thing we want to do to personalize our display is we're going to edit the user menu. And to edit the user menu, you want to use both your thumbs and press the temperature and program button simultaneously. And then you're going to see Fahrenheit and Celsius start flashing. That's given us the option to change from Fahrenheit to Celsius. And if I wanted to change it, I would just arrow up or down one way or the other, and that would change it. So we're going to keep it at Fahrenheit. And to go to the next screen, we're going to press Program. And what we see here is a counter. This is the seconds. So to change that from hours to seconds, you would use your up and down arrow. Some people use hours with the press, and some people use seconds. We're going to keep it at seconds. So we're going to go to the next preset, and we're going to press Program to advance. This is a record. A record is basically a recording of how many presses that you have done with this particular press. You can zero out this, this counter by pressing your up and down arrow keys simultaneously, and it'll zero it out. But it lets you know how many presses you've made with the press, which is a great feature. Now we're going to go to the next screen. This is programming your min and max for pressure. So to do that, you're basically, it's a more advanced setting. We'll talk about that here in a little bit when we talk about pressure. So I'm going to go to the next screen. This is the max pressure. We'll talk about how to calibrate the max. We're going to go to the next screen. All right, this is drop. Drop is basically when your temperature drops beyond a certain degree. Say, for instance, you have a window of 10 degrees up to 40 or 50 degrees. So to change your drop, which I leave mine off because temperature will drop when you first press something, it's going to drop basically because you have a cold item between the platinums. So to change that, you would just increment up by tens. So as you can see, it goes up by tens. I leave mine off because I just watch the screen and I can tell if it's dropping or not. So we're going to go to Program to go to the next screen. And this is beep, which is the sound you're hearing every time I press something. the beep is on, which I like to leave it on. So it lets me know that something's happening. So to turn it off, you would just arrow down. I'm leaving mine on. And to set the beep, we go to the next mode. This is our alarm. And our alarm sound, which is our beep sound, has 10 programmable settings. And your user manual will more define what those settings are. But each one has a different sound. So if I want to change the sound of my beep, as you can see, I use my up and down arrows till I find one that's right for me. Okay? And then we press program to go to the next setting. This is the finish warning beep. And basically it allows you a warning beep just before your press time is up. You can set it usually for about 3 seconds is what it's programmed to. So to go to the next screen, we press program. And this is your pre-press timer. And your pre-press timer should be on or off. If it's on, basically it allows you a pre-press time for 2-step processes for things like textiles and for whatever purposes that you would use your pre-press for. And I've got it on right now, so I'm going to press program to go to the next screen. And this is the alarm for my pre-press. And my alarm is set to 5, which for me, I like a different sound I like my alarm to be a different sounding because I need to be able to distinguish what's pre-press and what's my timer. So I have it set for 5, but if you want to change it, you use your up and down arrow keys. Press program to go to the next screen, and this is my pre-press timer. And it's set for 3 seconds. So to do a pre-press or change your pre-press time, you can up it to something like, we'll just up it to 10. And press program to go to the next screen. And now we're back at the set, which we're done here. We want to hit program again, and that's our pressure. And we're back at the normal operation. All right, we're in the user mode setting, so we're in the user menu. Earlier we talked about the PRO and the PMX. The PRO is your low end of your pressure, which would be 0, and your PRX is your high end of your pressure, which would be 9. So what we're going to do is we're going to calibrate that. We're going to say what 0 is, and we're going to say what heavy pressure is. So we're going to close the press in the PRO mode, and keep in mind you don't want to do this unless it's necessary. So we're going to adjust our pressure until the lever drops. Okay, you heard it drop, and now we're going to go about a half a turn back up, and that would be set for the PRO, which is the minimum pressure. We're saying what 0 is. Use your arrow key to lock it in. That says that it's 0. We're going to raise it up. We're going to press the program key to go to the PMX, which is the maximum pressure. So what we're going to do now is tell it what 9 is, 9 being the maximum. So I'm going to lower my press I'm going to turn the dial until I can't turn it anymore. And that will vary based on who's turning the dial. I'm going to raise it up, and I'm going to turn it about another half a turn so that I have a really heavy pressure. And that locks it at a very heavy pressure, and that's when we're going to press the up or down arrow telling it what 9 is, 9 being the highest. And now we're ready to just program back out. We'll just keep clicking program until we get to the very end. And it goes back to the normal user mode.